interesting happenings as well in terms of look, there have been calls for the resignation of the man, but the majority did not provide grounds. This time, the minority had about some 6 or so grounds for it. Then came the beginning of that was on Monday, I guess, and then the issue of conflict of interest came up with the issue of data bank having to play using data bank to collect some monies and also some percentage of our loans and so on and so forth. Beyond all of this, the Council for the Finance Minister have raised concerns of conflict of interest, which Parliament does not have jurisdiction over, and it's SHAJ that deals with that. What did you make of that and your study of parliamentary work? Do you think Parliament has jurisdiction?
Well, Parliament is in a way that when, even in committee sittings, even in committee meetings and all of that, the committee has some powers, right? The committee has some powers to, of course, not in a way of like your proper legal opinion or legal judgment, but the committee has some powers of jurisdiction that they can make some pronouncements, right? But even apart from that, I think that this is a political situation, really, not a legal one, right? It's a matter of, okay, this is the evidence we have against you, and so we want to discuss, we want to know whether it's true or not, just to ascertain the facts. But I think the whole issue has now been turned into a legal banter, and so, but Parliament really is not, of course, it's not a court of law, right? And so some of these things usually, tends to deviate from the purpose for which it was set up, which becomes even difficult for citizens who are watching, right, using some of these terms and even the debate, and it becomes very confusing. So I think that of course, there are 8 members of the committee, which even makes it difficult. Yes, difficult, really.
How for
exactly, and so you are wondering how a final decision is going to be made, right? We are all hoping, or we are looking forward to see what will come out of that. But really, that's what it is.
Looking at the committee and the kind of people on there, we've seen the co-chairs, Honorable Dominic Ayene and also Honorable Katie Hammond, and how they had comported themselves in terms of carrying out their duties. People have expressed fears that this committee cannot give us what we want in terms of the moving of the finance minister. Is that where you stand?
Well,
or that would be prejudicial.
Of course, it will be. I mean, we would have to wait and see. But again, to come back to the numbers, I mean, you heard somewhere in where the co-chair was challenging the chair's opinion or something, right? I mean, that's what it is. So whether they would even be able to come up with a final decision that would be a consensus of the committee, which will have to come back to the plenary for a debate before the House takes a decision. We are all hoping. We are looking forward to what will come up. We can't really say that it's going to be a decision that will recommend the Parliament to go ahead with the procedure of voting out the minister or not. So we can just wait to see.
98 of them say they are boycotting the budget reading. Where does that leave us now? Because I thought they had backed down calls on their requests for him, and then 18 had also joined again. What might have angered them? Do you know what might have angered them? I know though, but I can't say it. But you are in a position to tell us.
I'm neither in a position to say. Yeah. But I think, well, it's so evident that things are not going well. Whether you of course you may want to argue that, well, they may not be feeling same as we are, but of course things are not going well. And as representatives, of course, you may also be thinking about your political future, right? You may be thinking about what holds for you in future if you really don't stand on your grounds for...
In terms of going out there to campaign.
Exactly. you get it. And so I think some of these things are just playing in the whole. We are now coming together to advocate for a change and all of that.
I see. The issue then also comes with, for me, how it's all going to pan out. Because at the time, I don't know, they are feeling the pinch. You go to ask for the resignation, you are told that after the IMF negotiations, we could have that talk because the man had started already. And then you come back, tell us that, hey, I mean, we could have to deal with what the request of the president is. And then you come back this time and say, no, we're not really interested in it. Do you think that anything that, because I think that was done in the evening on PM Express, I mean, it was announced, PM Express, one of our sister stations, after the seating, the committee seating. You think things there, happenings there might have occasioned their resolve this time to get him out even before the budget reading?
You mean after
the announcement? After the public hearing, the first day, the public hearing was when the man in charge of the calling for the resignation, in charge of the fronting the 98, had gone on one of the programs on our sister stations network and announced that. I am saying that, why then the U-turn? Because they had made us understand. Do you think that things emanating from the public hearing, first day of the public hearing, might have occasioned that? Because there was a quick and sudden turn, because up until the public hearing, we all knew that the man was going to present the budget.
Well, for what I know, we still have a tentative date, and so I until that change, we can't really say that it's coming or not. But I think it's also, well, I mean, it's after the first public hearing, then what? After the first public hearing, you want to say now you are in full support, or you want to say now you have. I think it's again, it's a matter of where it's safe to play, really, right? So where it's safe to play, that you
how
feel.
Safe are they playing? Understand, after immediately they had called for, the very first time they had called for the resignation of the finance minister. I mean, this just for laughs. Some of their monies that were held were paid. I understood those ones, and they had listed some of them. It's very interesting. But beyond that, again, what could be that politics that they could be playing now? It's where I am.
I understand, and of course I can't sit here and pretend to know or to be in their minds to know what they are trying to do. Of course, we all cannot really tell what they are trying to do. But of course, what matters is that we are in a very dire situation, and so MPs or parliamentarians must sit up and do what is required of them to save the situation. And so whatever it takes save the situation that we are in now, I think that is what, of course, the president should also hear them and then take an action that will save the situation that we find.
Beyond the issues of injecting confidence into the economy by taking the finance minister out because of his posture before the IMF negotiations, and beyond all of these, why should we sack the finance minister? I know that's not in your space, because as I have always stated, the chief spending officer is not the man in charge of our fiscals or even the monetary. The chief spending officer, if you were running an SRC, is the president, an SRC president. And that is just the structure. So when you come to me and you tell me this and you advise me on this, there are other people that I would have to hear from, the economic management team, the man in charge of monetary and all that. So if at the end of the day, I took the final decision, go and do this, lead this, why should the man who just gave an advice be asked and not the man who took the final decision? And that's why I feel that the finance minister's ousting might not in any way bring anything significant to our problems. What do you think?
Well, that one, but I mean, the minister or ministers work in the stead of the president, right? So whichever decisions they take, in fact, they advise so in this case, when it comes to economy, when it comes to the finance, the Minister of State advises the president, of course, in addition to the economic management team. But you can't doubt the minister's advice to the president whether something is good to decide or not. So yes, for me, I think he going or he resigning would bring confidence. I agree to the voice out there that it will bring some confidence, because I mean, in our usual institutions, if you are not performing, what happens? It means a reshuffle, or it means you are just giving, yes, that's all, right? So that another person can take over and some new fresh ideas can now play out, and then we can see the improvement. So I think really an action must be taken.
I see. Yeah. We'll take a break at this point. When we come back, we'll get into the final lap of the conversation, and then we'll call it a wrap. But what do you think about the ousting of Ofori Atta? Are you just one of those who say, let him go, or you think he really has to go? Stay with us, we'll be right back.